Is this thing on? Hello everybody, June here. I know that it has been a long time since I made a video and I am not gonna make any excuses, so let's just get started. This video is a compilation of my September and October sewing and knitting projects. I didn't actually make enough in either month to have their own video, but combined I think there's enough for one video. And man, it was like I didn't make a lot of things, but the things that I did make are pretty amazing, if I may say so myself, and I am pretty pleased with how they all turned out. And I'm going to start with the knitting project. It's really only one that I finished, and it was a hat that I made for my son. The hat pattern is the Patton's Basic Beanie, and I made it with a yarn that he actually picked out a couple of years ago at Pearl Soho. I had already made one hat for him with that yarn last year, I think it was, and it was actually quite small on his head, and it doesn't fit anymore. I mean, he's a growing kid, but this one fits great, and he really likes it, and I'm pretty pleased. It's very simple, very quick, but you know, that yarn really gives it a little bit of oomph. The next thing I made for him was a sweater. I used this jelly, and I'm pretty sure that's how you say it, but this jelly pattern, it is $27.95, and it says that it's for women, but it really comes in a wide range of sizes like all jelly patterns do. And for kids, I mean, little girls have no breasts, so the pattern pieces are the same for boys and girls. And so I made the sweater actually without a hood. I didn't want to put a hood on it, and I made it out of a sweater fleece that I bought from fabric.com, and it doesn't have a lot of stretch, but it does have some stretch. And I am ecstatic with how it turned out. I mean, there's one little mistake, and if I didn't tell you, you probably wouldn't be able to see it, but it's just fantastic, and he likes it, and it fits him like a glove. But the downside to that is that it probably won't fit him for more than a season, which is a real shame. But lesson learned, next time I need to make a size bigger and actually take his measurements just before picking a pattern size rather than going by what I took months ago. And the patch on his arm, which you can see on the video that I have inserted here, I got from B&J Trimmings. Did I? Yes, I did. Here in New York City, and it's really an iron-on patch, and I think it makes a jacket. It really does make it, and he is very pleased with it. And moving on from my stuff, because it's all about me, right? I made 3 things. Well, I finished 3 things, but really only 2 are going to be useful, and we'll get to that. But I'm gonna start with the first thing that I finished, and that was the Morris Blazer by Greenland Studio. It is this pattern. I don't know if you can see it in the video here, but it is an unlined jacket with the lapel is actually grown on to the front panel, so there isn't an added collar or anything. It is faced, however, so you get to see the right side of the face. And I actually made and finished 2. The first one was a muslin, which was a disaster, not even worth mentioning, but it made for a good second version of the jacket. I used a Ponte Roma, and I think the one that I used first was, it had a high heavy cotton content, and then the one that you've actually seen in this video, it has a lot of poly and rayon, I think. I could be wrong on the rayon, so don't quote me on that. And I have to say that I love how the jacket turned out, but it was a little bit of a labor of love. Even though it's made from a stretchy fabric, I still had quite a bit of fitting to do. I did a narrow shoulder adjustment, and I can't remember exactly how much I did on there. And I shortened the sleeves 2 inches. As far as fitting, that was all that I did for it. But I did take off the center back seam. It is a straight seam, there is no shaping in there, and really there was no point to have it there. And I prefer the look of the clean look of no seams. And for the facing, the pattern does not call for the facing to be tacked down, and I put it on without tacking it down at the front. You do that at the back of the neck. and the facing kept flipping out, and I wish that I had taken a video of that because it was really unsightly and I knew that I was not gonna wear it that way. I decided that top stitching was better than the way that the jacket looked that way, so I top stitched the facing to the front panels all the way from the hem all around the neck, which also took care of having to hand tack the facing on the neckline, on the back neckline, to the back of the neck, which is a pain in the booty when you are doing it with knits. It's really something else entirely. But I have to say that I love this this jacket. I love the way that it looks. I will say, however, that if you are gonna make it, you have to be aware that there's very little ease. And I mean, especially if you're gonna make it in a woven. If you're gonna make it in a woven fabric, you have to size up. You just have to size up. The sleeves are very narrow, and I don't really think that you can wear it in the size that is recommended for you without having some stretch. But that said, I highly recommend it. These patterns are drafted so well, and the people at Greenline Patterns are very helpful. The instructions for the facing, for assembling the facing, are really complicated on the booklet, but thankfully they have a sew along that they did when the pattern first came out, and there's a lot of pictures in the sew along, so that was very helpful. Do look out for that if you're going to make this. But I really love it. I don't know when this video is going to go up, but tomorrow, so today's Monday, tomorrow Tuesday, I'm defending my dissertation prospectus, and I think that's what I'm gonna wear, because I think that, well, it's casual enough to be casual, but also with the right clothes, I think you can make it a bit more professional, and that's what I'm gonna go with tomorrow. Really, truly pleased with how this turned out. The other thing that I finished for me was this blouse from the latest Ottobre magazine. It is the 05-2017, and Ottobre magazines are great. The patterns are really well drafted, but they are very generous with their sizing. They draft for real women, I think it's the thing. And so I made the size that was recommended for my size, and it was huge. However, I took a lot of care in making that blouse look great. I did French seams everywhere. It was really well constructed, and I'm gonna put a video here so you can see what it looks like on me and how big it is. So it is definitely on my to make pile for this month, in a different fabric and in a different size, but I really like the construction of it. The only thing I'm not crazy about is the way that they do the placket on the sleeves. They have you slice a sleeve, which is normal, but then do a narrow hem. Like actually there is no placket, so it's just the opening and the hem slightly folded in, so there's a bit of raw edges inside, which I'm not crazy about, but I think I can live with that. But other than that, I have nothing to say. It's cake, right? I don't know if you're familiar with the cake and icing terms in sewing, but cake is basically your basics, right? Your everyday wear, things that are in regular rotation, and then the icing are like really just statement pieces, special occasion pieces, or things that are more specialized. And they don't necessarily get to be worn every day, but they're beautiful, and they're beautiful to look at. And so this blouse was definitely cake. But where there's cake, there is icing. And I made the most beautiful cocoon coat in the history of cocoon coats. And that's my story. Don't ruin it for me. The coat is the Sapporo coat by Paper Cut Patterns. It is from the Sakura line, and it's all Japanese themed. It has Japanese themed names. And what can I say? I am a sucker for coats. I love coats, and the minute that I saw a picture of that coat on Paper Cut Patterns Instagram, I knew that I had to have it. So I bought it in June, and then, well, summer came around and coats went out of my mind at all. But the October challenge for pattern review was wool coats. So I thought this was as good a time as any to dig into that Sapporo coat. I bought this gorgeous, it's not quite white, but it's off-white and pink jacquard wool from fabrics.com. And I have to say that I was a little bit scared because it was pricey. Not so much the wool, but the lining. It is lined in 100% China silk. And it was the most that I had spent on a project until that point. But at any rate, there really isn't a whole lot to do to this coat in terms of fitting. So according to my measurements, I should fall somewhere between a medium and a large, but the coat only comes in extra small, small, medium, and then large, extra large, I believe. And so rather than making the large, extra large, I went down and I made the small, medium, which I think works well for me. If I was to make it again, I might try making the extra small, well, the extra small, whatever the next size down was. I can't remember right now. But I am so in love with this coat. I mean, so freaking in love. I love the way that it looks. I love the pink. I love those pockets. It's just so amazing. And it is quite warm. It is 80% wool, 20% something else. Can't remember what the other thing is. But it is very cozy. And the best part is that it is big, so you can layer underneath and put on, I don't know, a sweater or something along those lines. But this coat is definitely a statement coat. This is definitely icing. And oh my god, is it beautiful. Like, I mean, I know that I'm biased because I made it, but it is so freaking beautiful. I can't even tell you how in love with this coat I am. And it is so easy to put together. It came along so quickly. I did the whole thing in a weekend. And I mean, I took my time pressing and folding and hand sewing the lining to the sleeves. But it is still very, very easy to put together. And that is all I got for September and October. I have been sewing my little heart out because, I mean, I'm gonna leave lots of links in the description down below, but I find that when I have the most work to do, I also like to do the most sewing. So it has been a bit of an emotional roller coaster of a semester. This is a semester where I write my dissertation proposal, and I don't want to get too much into that because I want to do a video about that in a few days. But it's just, the sewing has been taking my mind off this proposal when I am not actually writing it. So yeah, lots going on. And those are my projects that I completed in September and October. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I probably won't be away for as long again, but I don't know. I mean, who knows? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.